I have nothing to say to this.
Okay. We need to have some normalcy. Normalcy.
That's not a word you're going to hear much when talking about Captain Fizz and the Mask Guy.
No. So San Diego Comic-Con is currently going on, I believe.
I believe it's not. No, that's in July.
Is it really?
Yes, in July.
Well, they're talking about it on and on and on and on, which is a good thing. Absolutely a good thing. You know, anyone who knows us, which most of you don't, but I hope you get to know us very soon. We like to talk. We like to get to know people. San Diego Comic-Con is a religious haven for us. Everything that we live for comes out of there. It also comes out of E3, which was a huge thing the last little bit. They've been talking about that a lot. There's a lot of video games coming up. There's a lot of entertaining games, comics, everything else. I believe the latest thing, someone just got married again in the Archie comics.
Just based off this book that my wife has, I know they have two different series. They have one where Archie marries Veronica.
I believe this one is actually their very first gay character just got married in the comic. To collaborate with the Americans, finally. Thank you.
Well, this is Gay Pride Month.
Yeah, also the huge thing in the States, legalizing gay marriage, which we can no longer call it gay marriage, we just call it marriage, which is what it should be.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's marriage.
Everyone should have the right to be equally angry and unhappy as everybody else. And that's not to say anything about my co-host.
Okay, what?
He's angrily glaring at me. That came out really wrong.
Okay.
Marriage is a happy thing. Everybody should be allowed to be married, so everybody can have the hardships and the upsides and the downsides and the sideways and the backwards and the...
Okay, well, yeah, absolutely everyone has the right to have a happy marriage.
But only one marriage.
Yeah, only one marriage at a time,
None of this marrying your goats. Even though I do speak about goats. You don't marry the goat.
You don't marry the
Because
goat.
if you piss off a goat, the goat shoves his horn up your butt. And that hurts. So back to Comic-Con.
Back to Comic-Con. Which I'm going completely off of what you say on this.
Absolutely.
Just simply because he told me in no few words that he was going to take over this episode.
I'm not telling the subjects. He did no research, which is good.
I didn't do much research.
Fine.
I didn't even go off and, talk to our, producers to try to get some ideas because...
We have producers?
Well, technically we have at least two.
Right. I know what I wanted to talk about. We have been getting into Skyrim. And by getting into Skyrim, I mean we start playing and we cannot stop. So, to the producers and the creators of Skyrim, I have only one suggestion. Let me set potatoes on fire.
Flaming potatoes!
Flaming potatoes. Nothing sounds better than throwing a flaming potato at a stupid flaming dragon. And stop letting that stupid flaming dragon eat me.
Can you imagine putting a flaming potato on the end of an arrow and then shooting it?
I would love that. An exploding flaming potato.
Exploding flaming potato, yes.
It would make more sense.
What's
the point of potato? I steal a potato, and then I eat the raw potato. Then I die from diseases.
See, but here's the thing. I don't actually go off and steal anything. I kind of feel like I'm a fuddy-duddy, Because I don't actually try to steal anything on here. I don't break into people's houses. I don't steal any of their belongings or anything.
That's because you're too goody-goody. Then there's me. I steal everything in that game. I walk into a house. I see a drawer that says pickpocket. Or, little locksmith, whatever you want to call it. And that's the first thing I do. I want in that drawer. You lock a drawer on me in Skyrim, I will steal it. The stuff in it, not the drawer. Because it'd be weird to be walking around the game with a drawer. I got a drawer. I don't
know, but considering that, you don't actually see anything that you're picking up. Like, I usually use magic, like fire and, ice and spark, attacks.
Which fail miserably.
Which work okay. Actually, I seem to have more success.
I like my hack and slash.
Your hack and slash. And here's the thing. I really suck at that, personally.
That's because you don't like to steal things. Yep. It all goes back to that.
Because you don't like to steal things. I'm terrible at hacking this slash.
Absolutely. Because to steal things, you have to be stealthy, and you can't sneak up on people. Yep. If you don't like stealing, you can't sneak up on people. And that's why you like to use your magic, which I have unfortunately started to use magic, and I fail miserably because I keep forgetting what hand my magic is in, and I forget I don't have a sword anymore. So I go to try to stab a dragon with a hand. And anyone who has tried to stab anybody with just a hand knows it fails miserably.
Well, I know there's like some races on there that you can, just talk with the claws. But I mean, I don't know.
Oh, so like Catwoman.
You use like a human character on your game. I use a dark elf.
Yes, I like human on those games. I don't know why, but they look bigger, so I think maybe I look more menacing. And then I get beat up by a girl, and I start laughing, and then I quit, and then I get eaten by a dragon when I come back. Yeah, but some hints to live by. Save often. You never know when that save is important, but never save 5 seconds before you die.
Yeah,
because you will relive that death over and over and over again. But only when the troll somehow manages to taunt you will you be able to get away. When you get away, do not stop. And turn around to look to see if it's following you. It is following you. It will kill you. I learned that. I passed that knowledge over. Yeah. 22 times I died before I realized don't stop. And don't save before you die. It's pointless.
I think it's kind of fascinating that here we are. We're talking about a PlayStation 3 game. I'm not even sure this game is even available on, next-gen consoles.
I don't agree with the next-generation consoles. I was at a garage sale the other day, and sitting out there, they had the original Nintendo. Now, to all those old enough to remember what the original Nintendo were, I thank you. That was pretty much a godsend to our generation.
Oh, the Nintendo! I had some great memories of
Mario. I played Mario so many times in a day, so many hours. It was unbelievable. You can't get wrong with the original Nintendo.
And first game I actually ever played for that system actually was a game that's just simply known as ice hockey.
Yeah,
which was to me that was really fun. It didn't really get the grasp of what you were supposed to do because there wasn't like there was any tournaments or anything.
Well, see, unlike games now, every game now, there's 5 pages of instructions on this controller does this, and this button does this, and that does this, and this does that, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm waving my arms around like a crazy man, but, games have become so lame and walkthrough now. Mario, there was no set, you do this, you do that. You chose what you're doing.
Yeah, there was, I don't know if Super Mario Brothers 2, which I believe is actually the first game I ever played from that franchise, there was ways to, fast forward, all the way to, the final levels to take on the Toad King or whatever he was called.
Bowser.
No, it wasn't Bowser.
Right, it was the Toad King at that point.
Toad King's King.
Bowser came in later.
No, Bowser's in. It was funny because that was actually the only game that they actually had. It was. I think it was supposed to be like a dream that Mario had.
Yeah,
but every other one featured Bowser, and the only real characters that seemed to continue on from that particular game in that franchise were the Shy Guys.
Oh, I love the Shy Guys. They're little mushroom heads.
Well, they're the ones that they looked like these hooded guys with goalie masks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they look like basically evil Oompa Loompas.
Evil Oompa Loompas, the little versions of Jason from Friday the 13th.
Oompa Loompas and Jason had babies, and it became the Shy Guys. Shy Guys were pretty much the best part of it, other than the plants that came up. those things scared the crap out of me every time I played, because I didn't know what tube they came out of anymore.
Yeah, I know Birdo, who was the original boss character. He or she, I guess.
I think it was a she, because it was that pink little thing that always sat on me.
You know, pops up every once in a while.
Yeah.
As well.
You know, like, basically, I grew up on the original Nintendo. I grew up on the Sega Genesis. Now, Sega Genesis was a huge thing. The handheld one, if you held it for too long, your hands go numb. It was huge.
I never played the Sega Genesis.
You know, it was a classic. It was a hard thing to play because of that. You know, you couldn't play it for too long. The games, it had awesome graphic for, you know, when it came out, which really kind of sucks because the technology would be perfect, you know, in today's world. I find games nowadays, they're too simple, they're too easy. You know, everybody has to know how to get through it. You know, there's no creativity anymore.
Well, see, that's why, you know, as I got older, I started going towards RPG games because, you know, you were able to go off and to do like side missions and stuff. The first ever one I believe I ever played was Chrono Trigger, and I mean that game that still holds up today. I have it for I think it's for the DS, and I mean I played through that game and it was just as good as I remembered it when I was in my early teens, which kind of goes off and tells you just how old I actually am.
Yeah, even like we've been talking over the last little while about a lot of different games, TV shows, movies that we watched as a kid. Even music, like music has changed so much since when we grew up to now. On the different level, like music now is, they're singing about boys and girls and people getting shot, drugs, people getting killed, drugs. I grew up with Nirvana. It was an anthem for growing up. It was to show what it was like growing up as a kid in an adult world.
And see, I never, even as a kid, I didn't actually listen to much of the contemporary music. My dad was up until I was about 5 or 6 years old, my dad actually was a radio announcer for a lot of radio stations within Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Ontario. And so I listened to a lot of the music that my dad played. And so that was music that came, was from like the 60s and 70s.
Which I think is the best kind of music, Like, as I said, today's music, it doesn't...
There's some stuff that's pretty good. I mean,
it doesn't teach the kids to be a kid. It teaches these kids to grow up too fast. And, it's like, it sucks to be a kid, so be an adult. But growing up, it was music taught you to understand that being a kid meant this, and being an adult meant this, and, you needed to have the childhood to be the adult, and, back and forth. And the video games, at one point, it was okay to sit inside, play video games, because you knew you were still getting out. You were doing this, you were doing that. Now it's like, you play a game, it's like, next thing you know, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and you gotta wake up and go do something. Games have become... If it wasn't for gamers, this world would be a really sad place. But at the same point, if it wasn't for games, this world would probably be a more peaceful place.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I do know that I sort of worry about the next generation because, like, when we were kids, I mean, it was not uncommon to go out all morning, come back for lunch, then go out all afternoon, come back for supper, and then go out until dark, and then come home and get ready.
Oh yeah,
for bed.
My alarm clock, or my clock was the sun going down. When the sun started going down, you knew it was time to go home. Now it's like kids can't go to the park because without their parents, because people might be there, and there's been talks, not so much up here in Canada as of lately, but in the States, parents getting in trouble for letting their kids go to the park by themselves, and people trying to claim it's bad parenting, that they need to watch their kids more often. But those kids
kind of the sign of the times, unfortunately, because unfortunately, there's a lot more, you know, perverted people